One morning, David opened his eyes slowly. The sun was shining through the curtains. His head hurt a little and his body felt weak. He looked around the room. It was clean, bright, and peaceful. Then he saw a woman sitting on the chair next to the bed. She smiled softly at him. "Good morning, David," she said. David looked at her with confusion. "Who are you?" The woman's smile faded. Her eyes filled with surprise. "David, I'm Olivia. I'm your wife." David shook his head slowly. "No, I don't know you." Olivia's shock. Olivia felt like someone had punched her in the heart. Her hands began to shake. "David, please, it's me. We are married. Don't you remember anything?" David looked down. I don't remember anything about you." Tears ran down Olivia's cheeks. She stood up and walked out of the room to cry alone. The life they shared. Olivia sat alone outside the hospital room. She closed her eyes and remembered everything. David and Olivia were a happy couple. They had a small house, a lovely garden, and shared a simple life. Olivia worked as a primary school teacher. She loved children, books, and painting. She was kind, patient, and full of love. David was an architect. He worked in a design office and loved drawing buildings. He enjoyed cooking pasta, reading mystery novels, and walking in nature. They had little fights, like Olivia liked movies, but David always fell asleep during them. David liked spicy food, but Olivia couldn't handle chili, but they always laughed and made peace.
How they met. It all began in a coffee shop. Olivia was sitting at a table, reading a book about art. David came in with a sketchbook in hand and sat at the next table. He noticed her drawing small flowers on her notebook. Olivia saw his sketch too. It was a design of a school building. "You're good at drawing," Olivia said. David smiled. "Thanks, I'm an architect. I love drawing buildings." "I'm a teacher. I love children more than buildings," Olivia replied. They laughed. From that day they started talking. First short talks in the coffee shop, then long talks, then phone calls that lasted for hours, then dinner dates, walks in the park, and movie nights. One rainy evening, David looked into Olivia's eyes and said, "I think I've fallen for you." "I've been falling too," she said softly. The wedding. They didn't want a big wedding, just close family and a few friends. The ceremony was held in Olivia's backyard. Flowers, fairy lights, music and love filled the air. "I promise to be with you forever," David said. "And I promise to love you in every season of life," Olivia replied. They hugged, kissed, and started their beautiful journey together. The accident. One sunny afternoon, David went to a construction site for his work. It was just another usual day, but suddenly a piece of metal fell from the top of the building. David was hit hard on the head. Workers shouted and ran to help. An ambulance came and rushed him to the hospital. Olivia gets the call. Olivia was in her classroom, helping a student write a story, when her phone rang. She saw an unknown number. She picked it up. "Hello?" "Is this Mrs. Olivia?" the voice said. "Yes, speaking." "Your husband David has met with an accident. He's been taken to City Hospital." The world around Olivia stopped. Her legs became weak. She dropped the pen in her hand. Her face turned pale. A teacher next to her noticed. "Olivia, what happened?" She whispered, "David, accident, hospital," and rushed out of the school.
The hospital. At the hospital, Olivia found David unconscious in the emergency room. The doctor came out and said, "He had a major head injury. We performed brain surgery. The surgery went well, but now we wait for him to wake up." Olivia stayed by his side. She did not go home. She slept in the chair, holding his hand, hoping he would wake up. After 4 long days, David finally opened his eyes. The painful moment. When Olivia smiled and said, "David, you're awake," he simply asked, "Who are you?" The doctor checked him again and said, "He has retrograde amnesia. He lost the memory of the last 5 years, including his marriage with you." Olivia's heart broke into a million pieces. She sat alone that night in the hospital garden, crying softly. How do I live like this? He's here, but doesn't know me. Home as strangers. After a few days, David was allowed to go home. Olivia brought him back to the same house they had shared, to the same room, the same bed. But now, everything was different. David was polite but distant. They slept on the same bed, but like strangers. She made his favorite pasta. He said, "Thanks," but didn't remember it was his favorite. She showed him their wedding album. He looked at the pictures with curiosity, not love. Olivia's idea. One night, Olivia sat on the bed looking at David sleeping. "I have to try again. I have to win his heart back," she thought. So the next day she said, "David, can we go to the coffee shop?" He agreed. They sat at the same table where they met for the first time. "I used to read here," she said, showing the book. David smiled politely. The next week, she took him to the park where they had their first walk, then to the street where they shared ice cream, then to the place where David had proposed with a paper ring. Still, David didn't remember. But slowly, he started to enjoy her company. A new friendship. David began talking more. He said, "You're funny. You have a sweet smile. I like when you laugh." They started watching movies together. He would sleep halfway and Olivia would smile. He tried cooking pasta again and burned it. They laughed. Olivia knew something was returning, not memory, but feelings. Falling in love again. One night, they went for a walk under the stars. David said, "I don't remember our past, but I like being with you." Olivia smiled. "Even if you don't remember, I remember enough for both of us." David looked into her eyes. "If I didn't marry you before, I would ask you now." She giggled. "You already did." One morning, Olivia sat next to David and said seriously, "David, I'm going away for some time." David looked shocked. "Why?" "I think you'll be better without me. I've tried everything, but maybe it's time to let go." David sat quietly. His face became tight. "You can't go." "Why not?" Olivia asked. "Because I don't know what we were, but I know now I don't want to live without you." Tears rolled down Olivia's cheeks. David reached out and held her hand. "I think I've fallen in love with you, again," he whispered. They hugged tightly. That night, David took out the wedding album and looked at every picture again. "This was a beautiful day," he said. "Yes," Olivia replied, "and we can have many more." From that day, they started living not in the past, but in the present. Every moment became a new memory. They laughed, cooked, fought over movies, danced in the kitchen, and built a new love, brick by brick. True love is not just about memories, but about choosing someone again and again, even when life changes everything.